Welcome back. Welcome in. This is Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com, part of the Paramount Podcast Network. I am Mike Casazza. In the same town as Chris Anderson. We have plans. We're going to try to catch up today for like the 7th time ever face-to-face. Our running gag. I think we're at least in the double digits now that we've actually hung out together. But, hey, welcome to town. We're both here at the same time for a rare gap between camps.
Yeah.
Monday, the last individual camp, and then we have a 7-on-7 Wednesday, and that's pretty much it for the most important month that we previewed at the start of the summer. Before we get into the actual topic of the day, which is uniforms and Pitt, quickly your thoughts on what has manifested itself this month relative to what we predicted when we sat down end of May, beginning of June, talking about how significant these 30 days would be.
Pretty much exactly what we expected. Lots of official visits, lots of movement on the recruiting trail. Good, bad. Again, as we emphasized early on, West Virginia is not the only school in the country that is having official visits and camps. Everybody's trying to do everything at once, and there are a lot of pieces moving on the chessboard. And big picture, well, West Virginia is moving in the right direction. Others, they won every battle. No, of course not. Nobody does. Nobody ever will. But West Virginia is moving in the right directions. I think they've won more than they've lost. I think they've gotten answers on guys from camp. Some of those questionable guys, like, hey, do we take this guy? Do we push this guy? Do we offer this guy? I think they've gotten a clear picture on some of those targets, and you'll get some answers on them in the coming days, because yesterday was a big camp for a couple guys that were kind of on the edge. And later this week, final official visit weekend of the summer, and you're going to see some couple guys who are likely to commit, a couple guys who might wait a little bit and commit. But it could be a big, big week coming up for West Virginia football.
You and I will talk again about recruiting one particular angle position in particular that I want to get to. That's a lot of particulars, my bad. But because we do think it'll be eventful and because we have our eyes on one position, I think it's worth a separate episode, if that's okay with you.
That's fine with me. There's nothing I love more than to do more podcasts.
Speaking of recruiting, something that recruits could love nothing more than uniforms. Used to have gray ones. Used to have the annual anticipation of black ones. Remember that?
Can I hop in here real quick? Because this is actually, it's funny you mentioned gray first. So during Monday's camp, there were a couple unofficial visitors, guys on campus just hanging out, visiting the school, getting a tour. In particular, wide receiver Keenan Jackson, a 2024 guy. So when they go through this tour, they end up at the end, they have a photo shoot where they put on the jerseys, they put on the helmet, all that stuff. They have it set out in the size. What I didn't know, which I guess I never really thought about it, I guess more so than I didn't know, they get to pick what color. Like they get, a selection. You want the gold, you want the blue, you want the whites, the grays. What do you want? I'm not sure the jerseys we're talking about right now were available, but can you guess what has been the most popular pick out of all the color jersey combinations that West Virginia has?
Well, two things. I bet you the ones were available yesterday ahead of schedule.
Sensitive subject, Mike.
And then to answer your question, gray would be the clue you give me would lead me to say gray.
Absolutely. It was great. Like I wanted the Keenan Jackson. They asked him, I'm standing a few feet away, just happened to overhear it. Which color did you pick on the jerseys? And he said the grays. He loved the grays. And then I was talking with somebody, capital S somebody later, being like, hey, do they get like, is it always, do you just set out the grays? I'm like, no. They get to pick. And they were like, so many of the kids pick the grays, that they love the grays. And I think that could not be more of a disconnect from the fan base, maybe, I guess, than it just as far as the feedback we get from fans, at least on the message board, about their thoughts on the grays. But when those recruits want to take pictures, it seems like the grays are the popular pick.
All right, let's stick here. Do you like the grays? Because we're going to get into uniforms. We're going to talk about these beauties that they picked out for the Backyard Brawl, which is coming up on 10 weeks from now. I think it's a great idea and a great look, and a lot went into it. That's cool. But let's just stick here with uniforms for a second. I'll start. I'm not a fan of it because it's just gray.
Right.
And like, I live here in February. when it's just gray, and it's depressing sometimes because thank goodness that's the shortest month, but you get this in between seasons where it's neither winter nor spring, and sometimes it can't even make up its mind into April on that matter, but it's just gray. You don't see the sun a lot, and then I would feel better about it if it was more stylized. Like what if it was like shades of gray in that it was like coal dust that's thicker in some spots, it looks like you've like brushed it or rubbed it off your face or your shirt or your pants or whatever. What if it was like the clouds that are always gray in February in Morgantown? Like, what if you did something to make it not just gray? Because gray on top of gray with the gold and the blue highlights that accentuate numbers or names, whatever, that's okay. It's just a hard look for me, and I feel like that it's somewhat of an easel that you can work with that they just haven't done a whole lot with. And listen, they're very good at their uniform designs and concepts, and they get great help and great resources from Nike on that. But it is so popular, you could do much more with it. And gold and blue and white to some extent are so traditional. I feel like there's a lot of stuff they could do with gray to make it more than just gray. What they have is okay, but it's just gray.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the word you asked my particular thoughts on the grays, indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever. And for the same reasons you just said, I feel like it's just kind of there. It's gray with just a little bit of hint of blue and yellow on there. But that is tying it back into the new uniforms. Like you saw how much they added to it, and we'll discuss it at length here in a second. With the new whites, they added to it because before it was just white with a blue number with no lining around the blue, no extra anything else. It's just a white jersey, and that was it. And I think the Grays have a little more. I believe they have the yellow lining around the blue number on that gray, which I think they have to because of the gray and the blue together. But there could be more. And I'm thinking about those uniforms, like when they originally unveiled them during that spring game when Neil Brown arrived. That was his first year, right? When they unveiled the new ones.
Right.
And there were some combinations that they trotted out there that were the gray on gray, the gold on gold, blue on gold, white on gold, blue on, et cetera, et cetera. I actually prefer the gray on blue, gray jerseys, blue bottoms over the gray look. But again, it's kind of drab. It's kind of gray. And that's about it.
I'm being shallow, right? Because like the gray is just again, the February thing bothers me, and that's a Mike thing more than a Mountaineers thing. I get that, but it does feel like that's your chance to have your traditional color scheme because they are gold, they are blue, they do throw white in for the row, but like that gray is still part of who and what they tried to be. Do something a little bit different with that might be cool. But then do you lose the allure of a day like Monday when you pop out these special edition road uniforms, the Q Country Road Series, a one-time only look for the Backyard Brawl. First time in 11 years, September 1st, Thursday night, season opener. Getting the whole band back together for this one here. I love it. It's a bummer it's not a home game. It may feel like it sound like a home game at times, but it's a bummer it's not a home game, and the home fans may never get to see this. You could petition to wear them at home, but it does sound like they're going to make it a one-time deal. That in fact they wrote that and have said that, but I like it. I think it's cool. Let's make this a big deal because if they're going to play Pitt infrequently, like maybe more often once every 11 years, if they're going to try to do it more often, let's usher it in by resuming or at least restarting the series to some extent with Thursday night game, with a season opener, and with this bell and whistle that is going to look really cool on TV. I think people are going to lean forward in their seat because college football is starting, because it's the Mountaineers and the Panthers. It's a rivalry. People are going to talk that up and anticipate that for quite some time. And by the way, both teams and universities and athletic departments have leaned in on this with these uniforms. I don't know if Pitt will counter. That'll be interesting. It's an arms race, right? But at the very least, the Mountaineers are going to look very sharp at Heinz Field.
What's your favorite part about the new jerseys?
I love the color scheme, like the shades and the hues and all that. And I like white uniforms. Like for me, like baseball is cool because they wear whites at home, and that's a cool thing for me. It's I don't know. I just always like white uniforms for some reason. It's a clean look, obviously, and what they did with it by making it a road uniform, but not having it so dominant that it's just white. And just the colors, they pop, they're vibrant. There's a whole bunch of different accents and features we'll talk about, but just from a distance and then from a close look at it, I like the colors and especially the white. The white's not really a feature as much as an accent, even though they're white-based uniforms to me, which is a hard thing to pull off for a road uniform.
You're right. I think, what do they call the white jerseys that West Virginia wear? The stormtrooper
Mhm.
uniforms. And that was because they were literally all white with just a little bit of trim of something. Uh, these, I think, all the changes they made, like this is pretty rare. They made several changes. It wasn't like they just did one little thing and added to it. But every single change they made, I liked. Every single one. I mean, the new neckline with the state patch on there, the gold going around the numbers to help accent those numbers that are the blue, the patches on the side, a little more gold on the shoulders, the name West Virginia across the front above the numbers. I like that. And then I think for some people, maybe even people listening to this right now, because I don't think anybody mentioned this to me when I first got those messages about it, about them coming out. Look closely at the blue because, and this is the key thing, the country roads aesthetic here is it's not just blue. It's literally like the state map of West Virginia with the interstates, with the state routes, with the roads on it that you can see if you look closely at that blue. Will you be able to see that when you're sitting in the stands, several hundred feet away or on TV? Probably not. But daggone, that looks cool, and I bet recruits are going to love that.
It's just a sharp look. I mean, it's really neat. Like, and think of it this way too. We may get a college football game. EA Sports may bring back NCAA football 2023, and whether you are someone who grew up playing Madden or if you did your own like create a dynasty in college football, you were in charge of making your uniforms. And did you ever just go single color tops, single color pants, single color helmet? Not really, right? You did something like this where your numbers were one color and outlined by another color, and then your sleeves were one color and outlined by another color. You never just had just blue, just white. You had different colors, and it looks like I'm not saying this is like an adolescent pursuit, but it looks like someone who plays video games sat down and had really good ideas and made a really cool uniform here, which is great. And again, to your point, are you going to notice those roads when you're watching the game? No. But if you're a recruit and you get to do a photo shoot and you get to pick up one of those uniforms, you're going to sit there and look at that in your hand and be like, this is pretty cool. What's it mean? And you have a 5-minute conversation about the uniforms and what it means and all that stuff. And that's super useful. And to your point about the name, good observation. It's really hard to get West Virginia stitched across someone's chest, right? And then if you're watching a game, you might know, but like pictures or highlights, whatever, you might just see the word West. And then there's the number and then Virginia at the bottom or something like that. And that's one reason that Bob Huggins in his basketball uniforms had the flying WV. That's so recognizable, whereas it's hard to get West Virginia across someone's chest because it's such a long word. And how they pulled that off and made it look good and not like crammed together, I think that's a pretty clever feat right there in itself too. So just a bunch of like really good execution all at once and not so busy that it looks like it was overproduced and just kind of blah. The helmet is the one thing that kind of stands out to me a little bit too, because it's not throwback retro, but it kind of is. And to me, it's kind of cool that you can do something that's old, but also new. It definitely plays off that Bowden era white helmet that they had in the past, but it's also not that. It's a nod toward it, but to get the state outline with the WV in it, which again is the very recognizable part, that's kind of like past, present, future all in one. And we haven't even talked about that, but I think that's the one thing that pops right away. And then, by the way, it's not just white. It has, I believe, the blue bar with the gold outlines down the middle. I might have that backwards. I just lost the picture, but you get everything you want in the helmet too, from the color scheme to white, it's on the road, to the state outline, to the flying WV. And again, it doesn't look so busy that it's obnoxious to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. You're right. It's the blue stripe with the gold outlines on it, to blue in the middle, gold, 2 gold on the sides. And yeah, I completely skipped over there. Not that I didn't see it, but you're right. The old state outline hat helmet decal with the new flying WV helmet decal inside the state lines, which I think if you had described that to me, I would have said like, hey, there's going to be 3 stripes with a state outline with the flying WV inside of it, with these flares, like I don't know what the right term is here, on the front of the helmet that go above the face mask with the Nike symbols and the flying WV there, I would have been like, whoa, that is too much, calm down. But then when you see it, when you actually see it, me personally, I think it looks good. I think it does look clean. Like you said, it's not cluttered. It's not too much. It sounds too much when you describe it all, but when I look at it, it doesn't feel like that.
Anything you don't like?
Hmm.
I'm having a hard time being negative here. Sorry. I'm not a uniform guy either. Like I get inundated with questions about, have you heard anything about this? And when are they going to get the Cold Rush uniforms back? Or what about the camo and all that? Remember the camo ones? Those were
Yeah.
cool. Or I don't know. They go out and play and I figure out who won the game, right? But this one I'm like, this is actually exciting because, again, I think it's a great occasion to do it and a great time to do it. But also it looks very good.
No, I don't really have any negatives. I had one question, and maybe it's seeing. I mean, I know because obviously they do have cleats, team cleats, that Nike provides them. But I was wondering if I don't see it on here. I didn't see it in the release. Did the cleats come with it? Are there special cleats that go with the jersey? Because the cleats that are in the pictures, that are in the video, just look like regular cleats. But other than that, I mean, again, that's just like, is that a thing, or are they still using the same cleats as before? The players get to pick their own cleats. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but it was one of the things. If you're making me find something negative, which I know you're not making me, because really I find nothing wrong with the jersey as I see it or the helmet.
Pants are a little bit short. That's just me. But hey, do you think Aubrey Brooks is actually the model for this? Because he is number 22. I understand why number 22 is being used here. But do you think it's Aubrey Brooks? It looks like a pretty built guy in that uniform. Profiles as Aubrey Brooks. Size, weight, height, maybe. I have no idea who's behind the visor, nor do I know why the visor is used, except they probably don't want to put an identity behind it. But it's NIL time, man. That can go in Aubrey Brooks' reel, or whoever's reel that is.
You know what? I have been researching this, and I asked somebody. I didn't ask if it was Aubrey Brooks. I asked who they use to do the modeling, if they use players. I did not get a direct answer, but I have been using my eye spy techniques, because if you look at the pictures, you can see there's a pretty distinctive tattoos on the left arm. And now,
oh yeah,
when we go back to 7-on-7 later this week, I'm going to peek around at some of the players that are walking around there and see if anybody has that tattoo on their left arm. Because if you look closely, it also looks like this person may have a beard. I don't know. I'm trying to piece things together here, being a online detective, and figure this out, because I was wondering that and had already started thinking about it.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. We'll have an episode in the future. It has to happen. These will not be available in replica form to the public. ... For now? ? I just wonder, why wouldn't you? Like make t-shirts or t-shirtsies or whatever you call them. But you can get these, and they put them up for auction. They do that gear auction every year.
I was gonna say they're gonna fund some new upgrades in the practice facility with this one-time thing.
Also, players got to get a slice of this. They do auction or sell these uniforms, don't they?
I would think so, especially if they have their numbers.
Yeah, that'd be hard not to here. And again, like, this is an NIL opportunity I would think you could spin off. Granted, there's some licensing things that have to happen, but West Virginia has licensing capability. And I just wonder, like, maybe not here specifically, but if you do different things in the future, like baseball has cool jerseys that people like different combinations. Basketball has its jerseys, but like, could you do jerseys? Like, for example, this one, could you style a t-shirt after this? A t-shirt, not a jersey, because jerseys are expensive, but would someone pay $40 for a t-shirt that they would wear to this game or wear to other games or have to commemorate, and then get your number for a player? These are things I'd let the departments think about, maybe have to think about here too, but I do not want to put that into the spotlight here. I just think that they have an achievement here. And as I'm sitting here talking about this, and we're almost 15, 16, 17 minutes into this, we have talked about a lot of elements and features and significance that are apparent to the eyeball, specific to the school. And if you put all these things down on a piece of paper, you would think that's really complicated. Like, I don't know how this is going to look. Can you pull this off? And they have, and it's not overwhelming or obnoxious. Like you said, like it's a simple, digestible, tolerable, enjoyable look right there, even though they did a lot of things, whether it's fitting all of West Virginia, if it's getting the helmet to be not too busy, if it's just blending the colors in and not having it be a deviation from traditional look that's off-putting, because some people don't like gray and some people don't like Coal Rush and some people don't like the I forget the name of it now, the Pro Combat look, because it takes away from what has made West Virginia look like West Virginia for so long. This is kind of like a past, present, future all in one. A lot of things, but again, this is why they take about a year to put these things together too. I wonder what the different models looked like before this, what Model A through S looked like in the Henry Ford Model T progression. But I just think it's kind of a commendable thing for them, and good for them for getting it done, for making it exclusive, elite, and for the occasion that they're going to use it for. Again, bummer it's not at home, but it's going to look really good on TV, and it's going to be something that makes people more excited about this game and what it means to have it back.
Hey, I got something for you already on my online sleuthing.
Oh.
So I went to more of the photo gallery. And you know how like in spring ball or fall camp and stuff, like you see the guys and they're wearing the practice jerseys, but you know that you can't take those practice numbers, to heart.
Okay.
And a lot of times you look at the helmet to see what helmet number there is.
The sticker.
Number 6. Number 6 for WVU.
I think I know.
Mr. X. It's not Garrett Green. Mr. X3 Low
Does have a beard.
does have a beard.
Tattoo,
Number 6 helmet. Number 6 on your roster has a beard. Is it weird? Yeah, it's probably weird if I text or email X3 Low and ask for pictures of his tattoos.
This is gonna be like Ace Ventura, where the guys are like in the Porta John or getting a massage, whatever. And Ace Ventura is just like grabbing everybody's ring hand to see if they have the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship ring with a missing diamond. That's gonna be you mugging people to see their left arm and tattoos.
I'm gonna ask the guys to go out and go over and work on that ball catching machine, the receivers thing. They're like, hey, X-Ray, can you catch a football? Send him over there and just watch him catch football for a while. I try to take pictures of his arm.
Well, as I always tell people that I'm like investigating or quizzing about stuff, the easy thing to do would be just to tell me, right? Or you could let me go to work in the investigatory powers. Listen, football players, wear tank tops around town this week. Chris is here. If he sees your gun on the left side and then matches the tattoo, that's good. Otherwise, he's going to find you and he's going to roll up your sleeves and he's going to have a look at that bicep to see what the deal is. We'll figure this out. The very easy thing would be just to call somebody and ask, or email someone and ask. We'd probably get an answer. That's not the fun thing. That's not the fun thing. So we'll check back. Let's see who can get to the top of the mountain here first and get an answer. We will come back with that. We'll come back with much more in the future here, too, about more than just uniforms. 10 weeks from Thursday, West Virginia Pitt Backyard Brawl, number 105, and this time with a different appeal that I think people are going to enjoy. We'll be back later on this week. Look at recruiting, what Mountaineers have been doing, what they have left to do in this most important month. Until then, I am Mike Casaza.
And I'm Chris Anderson.
We'll talk to you next time.